So we're going to get started. Thanks everybody for making it out. I think we have enough chairs. This is the fall season of the Segue reading series. Our first back in real analog space, although we're also live streaming on Zoom, so there are those watching online as well. My name is Lonely Christopher, and I co-host the Segue reading series with my partner Van Daniel, who's not well and can't make it, so I'm just going to be hosting all the way through. We're going to open with Charles Theonia, and then we'll take a quick break, and then we're going to close out with Stacy Szymaszek. So I'm just going to introduce Charles Theonia. Reading Charles Theonia, is like going to re-speech with your boyfriend with whom you're on the rocks, breaking up with him the second you get there, and wandering around in a sweaty haze before being generously adopted into a random friend group staked out under an umbrella clearly stolen from the parking lot of a Long Island Applebee's, who call out to you, "Why so long in the face, baby?" and hand you a nutcracker, followed by a round of pronouns and chosen names. Somebody's playing an obscure queer AIDS casualty composer off their phone, and somebody else is trying to drown it out with Bad Bunny. And before you know it, you're laughing, commiserating, "Fuck that guy, he doesn't deserve you." But the convo easily widens, grows cosmic, talk of ego death. And before you realize, somebody's offered you a bump of ketamine and the skin of the earth is pulling up and your brain is melting into the other, frighteningly deep yet hilarious. And you're amazed at the culmination of accident and event that landed you here now. And somebody you don't know is inviting you to join their queer anarcho-socialist communal living arrangement. But when they start fuming over a conflict that arose at the last house meeting, your mind wanders, catching the eye of the guy who reaches over the beach blanket and casually plays with your leg hair, while somebody else is whispering a graduate level trans mask reading list directly into your ear. Then tonight we'll hit a club in Alphabet City, and everyone laughs to see a seagull shit on a beach cop. I read Theonia's poetry manuscript, Earthly Reasons, and discovered an adroit yet playful new voice reaching out for shared consciousness the way a hand dips into a stream of falling water. I took it as a sort of critical theory party book, which packs an ideological punch while maintaining an effortless sense of delight, which is also labor. Fun is serious business, especially as it relates to revolution, which is a community activity. The verse is replete with naming, which isn't alienating as it might be, but rather an invitation, the author's friends and heroes becoming yours in turn. Samuel R. Delaney, Judith Butler, Ann Carson, John Cage, Bernadette Mayer, Joe Brainerd, Agnes Martin, Lou Sullivan, a parade of signposts pointing toward parallel/complicit universes of thought. But we are not only lauding these heroes, we are perverting them with our queer attention, and we are not only recognizing our friends, but chewing their food, partaking in a juice exchange, because especially these days, we get to choose whose saliva accidentally flecks into our mouths. This is destabilizing in the best way. Quote, "Community goes on nebulizing outward forever," end quote, which is an interesting distinction. Community doesn't cohere into a solid, it sprays outward in a fine mist. We are both held and propelled by those we allow into our lives to collaborate. Theonia writes, quote, "On your leash, I'm accounted for. Femmes cuddle up on the sand. You grab my ass, say you like to see us enjoying each other." Pronouns kind of melt into themselves and each other as states of being commingle. It means that, quote, "Joy is a shared term," end quote. Theonia's serial poem, Queer Heaven is a Dance Floor, But I Can't Relax, takes on AIDS crisis revisitation through something feeling like stream of consciousness bricolage, inviting history onto the page in the form of repurposed prose, textual quilt pieces from deceased artists like David Wojnarowicz, Exis Hemphill, disco icon Sylvester, and especially the melancholic cellist Arthur Russell. The poet is haunted by legacies of cruelty that bleed into the present. Quote, landlords shut off the heat in apartments of tenants with AIDS. They turned the city over at market rate. From a certain angle, queerness is communing with ghosts. Theonia spreads their attention across the living and the dead. Their poems routinely, quote, incorporate, reconstitute, and refer to language from other texts, end quote, in a perpetually overdue queering of conceptualism that defies that mode's tendency to center heteronormativity and whiteness while simultaneously denying that anything else exists. Quote, the words I use come to me down and up lines of power, out of order, end quote. In a way, this allows Theonia to show their work, constitute a lineage, and enter the lives of others to personalize and reconstitute us. Quote, I decide to feel an immediate intimacy, end quote. In these poems, ideas don't take shape, they expand and explode, and the reader understands the messy aftermath as the true underlying purpose. Quote, we like this shapeless season, let us be shapeless too, end quote. Contrarily, this is somehow embodying. You have to leave your body to find it. Theonia makes a meal of this delicious discrepancy in lines like, what is I doing here? And my God, you're me. A brilliant confusion girds this material, a sensation that something weird and exciting is right around the corner, and we gotta be prepared, sitting in the public health clinic and dreaming of the beach. Here now, Charles Theonia.
Thank you so much for that introduction, which was both a dream and a nightmare together. Incredible. Specifically the whispering the transmouse theory in your ear. Yeah. Yes, I'm really so happy to be here. I'm going to read a few solitary poems and then some from that longer series that was mentioned. So these poems are in a friendly way talking with other writers and artists, and their names are in the titles. Mud Library, Frank O'Hara. One of my long gone boyfriends I never met suggests, instead of writing poetry, I pick up the telephone. I want to know what you do if everyone you want to call is gone. I present as two ears listening to each other. Hit the library to get all of you on the horn at once. Instead of worrying about coming along so long behind, I would like to propose the comfort of lying down, sinking into the rich mud of others. Good for the skin, your words sucking into my mouth. In the mud library, there are other salamanders. We extend our ears together. It is good to go to the library with friends. You can slide your laptop across the table to say, is this too much? I call Frank O'Hara my boyfriend and go lie down in the mud. They say, not so far, go on ahead. Isn't that what a phone is? The wet sound of everyone having worked so hard for us to listen. This poem I wrote after an online workshop with SJ, who's here today. Mouth Weather, Renee Gladman. I wake up unwilling with a dog on my neck, everything moving, sluggish, molecular, cold. The kitchen table is a desk, so I don't have to step from the stream of your commentary or the walls heating up in morning's directions. A dog is about bringing the outside in while there is still an outside. Attention alters the temperature, movement on the level of vibration. Slight openings to press a cheek to and express the workday pores. Approach is a sensation. We're heading in non-parallel directions, leaving touch on the table. I invite you into the space of my body for study, discovering operations of nearness and the adapter I need to interface with your inner delight. Everything on the table helps me reach for it. A chihuahua sleeps for 18 hours a day. I extend our bubble with a tongue and snowfall begins, leaving work obsolete. I like it when you tell me where your mouth has been. Begin can be replaced with any word that brings you closer. And this is one of the many re-speech poems. The People's Beach. On your leash, I'm accounted for. Femmes cuddle up on the sand. You grab my ass, say you like to see us enjoying each other. Drive-by stench of the water pollution plant. Police copters agitate overhead. They dragged a guy naked down the boardwalk when his towel fell. Up beach, private hammocks, palm trees for rent versus nutcrackers on our seedier stretch. Rosy lizard insides, read sticky lychee skin. I'm reading Bob Gluck's gyroscopic nipples. You're purse-strung under pasties, honey gauze dissolving stitches. Me, I'm years out and still livid pink. Resolution, I don't know her. We sink in. Even the book is sweaty. This takes its title from a Diana Ross tweet. The color of joy is pink. Community goes on nebulizing outward forever. The pink of us is inside and highly specific. Wouldn't you rather pick an affinity group or 3? We'd get into more and better trouble that way than in the Brooklyn Volunteer Accountability Corps, where the creeps just walk off regardless into the forever of us. But the more of you is better, and every day you never read the books I like, even when I buy them for you twice. And still the color of us is I bet you wouldn't, unless you knew I was looking. All along, the self keeps atomizing, and joy is a shared term I don't know the name for. I'm here for rent parties, or to hold your hand in the hospital where the self of us is more contested than ever, and other unnecessary untruths when you have everything right here. Everything's not enough. I know it never is. Enough is the color of you, me, and the rest of it. Let's cut your hair, plus drink each day a little less and recommit to slipping further. As it happens, I'm not doing anything but this. This one is in the style of Joe Brainerd's mini essays, which have 1 or 2 words as a title and then a one-liner, which are very enjoyable to read. They're in his collected works. Optimist. I think I am an optimist because I see many cats, but 9 out of 10 are plastic bags. Something wrong. With enough conviction, and for at least a little while, almost anyone can convince me I've done something wrong. Prime directive. My prime directive is to not bother anyone, but I keep writing poetry. Blurting. I wish I didn't. Do it, but I don't know what I want until I'm doing it. Basic. Reading Judith Butler made me trans. The truth. And the truth. Why is the truth so narrow-minded? Restaurant. If I were a restaurant, I wouldn't go back to me. Companionship. It would be better to be completely encased. Need. My therapist said I have a gaping hole of need. Who asked you? I like to think I keep my need hole pretty neat along the edges. I was about to order an Impossible Bagel when a chihuahua woke me up from a dream of a basketball machine called Sensitive Voice Sensations, 50 cents to play. Today. Today is a good day to look at a photo of early Samuel R. Delaney. Big hands. That gif of a big hand squeezing juice from a shampoo ginger flower. Affinity politics. My enduring affinity for art by gay men who don't care about me. Community. A lake full of identical jellyfish looking at itself. Crowd of the Damned, 1197. I do misreach speech all fall, winter, and spring. Erotics of the absent mind. If my mind is going to be elsewhere, you better believe I'm making the most of the hole it left. Life is not noble, sacred, or good, and a cocksucker will always want more of it. Now I'm going to read from the long Arthur Russell poem, an excerpt of it, and I'm going to read over a recording that my friend Jonah sound designed, which brings Arthur Russell in the room with us. So I'm very excited to read with that today.
If you're going to read over a sound, read a little closer to the mic.
Closer? Okay, thank you. Queer heaven is a dance floor, but I can't relax. Bring enough tapes to last your time out of the house. At the intersection of avant-garde cellist and disco hitmaker, there lived Arthur Russell. Every day he walked to the Hudson River, listening to his echoes. He died of AIDS-related causes in 1992. In found space, dance leaves time residue. AIDS is not over. You can still feel every ass shaking in the slippery air. Arthur didn't want you to come in and play his drumline. He wanted you to bring yourself into him, bringing you together in his oceanic room. That's where I came looking. I was in my bedroom arranging discos. He was on the Staten Island ferry editing cassette tapes in his head. I was at Hate Queen, losing my nostalgia for the nightlife. He had his eyes closed on the gallery dance floor. I heard transmissions, sweat, light flecks. Our mouths go and find you there. Make dense spaces, kiss so brief. Come from in and looking out, we alternate us across songs. Dance makes time plastic. Reach all nights in one and home at dawn. Subdivided, smaller cells, the weak. Sun fingers, brushing smell. Salt, dust, poppers, kissing friends I want to see. Stall in circles, lost hours expand. I'm always time slipped during dance. Untouched across the room, I go standing in where I am right now. But hear all disco years at once. That's you and me, in through the ear. Rewinding tape, me and you. That's once at ears, disco, all here, but thighs between our thighs, come with us. Landlords shut off the heat in apartments of tenants with AIDS. I can't remember where I read this. They turned the city over at market rate. Everything we do gets in on history. Now, a figment, utopia, a compulsion to keep remaking the world. I came back to find the landlord had beaten holes in the wall and bricks were lying in my bed. When someone collapsed, we called man down. The guards wouldn't come in without a hazmat suit. The president required several years before he could bring himself to note the existence of the disease. The hospital wouldn't take him. We sat in hospice shifts. In the morning, they would come in and retrieve the body. I go, what about standing, the Hudson, in where I am standing right now to meet you? I was intrigued by some guy on the telephone. Arthur's name was Charles, then it wasn't. He was in the gem spa buying an ice cream. My name wasn't Charles, then it was. Except a fragmentation of a person. We moved around it in different directions. Secrets he didn't have. That was how we met. Writing a diary. Every day, thinking of how to write songs that say thank you, or what's gonna happen. He looked weird when he danced, but that didn't bother him. He was imagining what the disco was like. A packet of scented dust he kept in his pocket. I look weird when I dance, but that doesn't stop me. I could dissolve in a mass of sweat and breath. Mesh, blue lipstick, latex, sequins, all my friends at once. The words are never in the place you would expect them to be. His question was, what made them get out into the sticky? What pulled them apart into sound? I overheard a sense of feeling safe, fell on my face love dancing, feeling for my glasses along the collective. You could pick up the needle anywhere and put it down and it always sounds the same. His question was, what's with this kid standing against the wall, untouching everyone? I look weird because I'm imagining being then, being sure sounds like extendable structure, dipped in and out of at will. The children of the gallery were in no doubt that this was fabulous. His question was an account of our bodies entangled in sound. Partygoers gave themselves up to a heady cocktail of collective motion. If he were alive today, he'd be going dancing later, approaching the haptic libidinal build. He was definitely a white boy dancer, cut up and reaching for a collaborative mix, sonic fields of cross-racial contact, or sitting against the wall smiling, watching everyone give it all in, a proposal for an incorporative form, the way people speak music through the dance floor. The hospitals insisted on gloves and a medical mask, elastic around the ears, untouched across the room. Are you wondering how long it will be? It was hard to go out to a disco and start dancing. the way medicine was going, his faltering voice. People were always living in hope and public force. When the eerily empty dance floor became too much to bear, he seemed so real to me. It was like, that's not gonna happen. If we're alive then, we'll see ourselves historicized early. The club shut its doors in the spring of 1988, the year I was born. His question was how we learned to see our atmospheric preconditions. In 2019, Gilead prices Truvada at $21,000 a year. An HIV-positive prisoner gets a felony charge for spitting on a deputy jailer. A pop star throws a prep-themed dance party. What is I doing here? Who would I know if I opened my mouth? Because I don't know how to answer them, I go standing in where I am right now. Now I'm heading where you were, driving 16 miles there looking to nothing. I'm more gone. I'm looking away when we talk, because it's no more fun outside you now. For something the pattern of going down, making friends. I don't want our bed in the sky. Through the pines, I forget to do the quiet week. What I'm doing to find you, and I wonder, flips over. I did before untouch at all where I fell off the path. And that's all. Two in it would be lying in the reeds. I see driving, anyone was. If I can't go, sand spills and find each step I meet you there. It had to happen. I was going to meet him because I kept going back. When interviewing Arthur Russell, think fishy. And if you don't think fishy, think wet. He loved the sound of rewinding tape, and I learned to love that sound too. World of Echo didn't address AIDS explicitly. Oceanic formlessness. Casio keyboards on sailboats. In the gentle undersea rhythms of a coral reef, the blue tang displays his dreamy coloration. I would carry his cello. If he were alive today, I could have met him by now. If you want to reach my world, it's full of pleasure. His life was afterlife transmission, ongoingness of the disco. Prep for all activists dig up evidence of Gilead's public patent violations. The CDC maintains that HIV cannot be transmitted through saliva. Pills cost pennies, greed costs lives. Your whole body's got to lose. HIV is not a crime, criminalizing it is. Every sense and notion before you, inaudible at 2:36. If I die of AIDS, forget burial, just drop my body on the steps of the FDA. By morning, papers underreported us. Get on up and do it again. I'm looking across the room where we would be. You were in the disco, still spilling a sticky beer. Men move me aside by the waist. Menergy, we all know the feeling. I felt a compulsion to remake the world. I'm in my bedroom remixing poem and disco to go and find you there. If I were alive then, I'd be in the library looking back. Maybe you spilled onto me. I leave half connected. I feel the ongoingness. I keep going back. I want to share this love in heaven on. The night flips over and on and on and on rewinds. Every time we kiss, there's more of it. We confirm the new world meeting us. Our masses pull apart. We constitute mouths across salt. I wondered, years divided, where to find you and how. Songs touch across the room. I feel love. I go slipping in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a brief break and we'll be back in a couple minutes. And this next announcement is just for the people in the Zoom room. If you're joining us on Zoom, the $5 admittance fee still applies. So you should see on your screen, it'll tell you where you can send that. Thanks.
Tell me what the girl does to the boy if you can get around to him. Tell me what the girl does to the boy if you can get around to him. Tell me what the girl does. Show me what the girl does to the boy if you can get around to her. Show me what to do you most enjoy if you can get around to her. Learning more about you, I hope it's never ever finished. But it's like when I am your new toy.
That's my song.
Yeah.
That might be softer. Yeah, you want? Let's go for this. Is that fine?
And I just have to.
Show me what the girl does to the boy. You can get around to him.
It's good. We're just making
Show
sure
me
that.
what the girl does to the boy. If you can get around to him. Show me what to do you most enjoy. If you can get around to him. Learning more about you, I hope it's never even finished. And what it's like when I am your new toy, if you can get around to it.
Okay, everybody, we're going to get back to the show. Thanks again, everybody who's joining us live at Artist Space or live streaming on Zoom. We're really lucky to have Stacy Szymaszek here. I'm going to read the bio from your website. I'm sorry that we weren't able to provide a personalized bio for you this week. But Stacy Szymaszek is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and studied poetry at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. After spending a summer on Kate Millett's farm/art colony, she became invested in participating in anti-authoritarian, anti-institutional, and anti-colonial structures as a way of life. After spending the 90s working in independent video stores, bookstores, and cafes in Philadelphia and Chicago, she returned to Milwaukee, where she learned the ropes of grassroots nonprofit arts administration and small press DIY publishing while working at Woodland Panner Book Center. In 2005, she moved to New York City to work at the Poetry Project at St. Mark's Church, where she was executive director from 2007 to 2018. Szymaszek is the author of the books Emptied of All Ships, 2005, Hyperglossia, 2009, Heart Island 2015, Journal of Ugly Sights and Other Journals 2016, which won the Ottoline Prize from Fence Books and was nominated for a Lambda Literary Award in 2017, and a year from today in 2018. Her sixth book, Famous Hermits, will be published in 2021 by Archway Editions. She is the recipient of a 2014 New York Foundation for the Arts Fellowship in Poetry and the 2019 Foundation for Contemporary Arts Grants in Poetry. Szymaszek was the Hugo Visiting Writer at the University of Montana, Missoula from 2018 to 2019, poet in resident at Brown University, and visiting poet for the Fire Island Artist Residency. She has been a mentor for the Queer Art Mentorship, visiting faculty for Naropa University's Summer Writing Program, and workshop teacher for Woodland Pattern, the Poetry Project, and Wendy's Subway. She serves on the board of directors for Wendy's Subway and Committee on Poetry with a partner, the poet Kimberly Alibio. She lives in New York's Upper Hudson Valley on the sacred homelands of the Munsee and Mahikanu people who, due to forced removal, reside in Northeast Wisconsin as the Stockbridge Munsee community. Please welcome Stacy Szymaszek to the stage.
Thank you, Lonely. James. It's always a great pleasure to read for Segue. And thank you all for coming. Okay, so I'm not going to be reading from Famous Hermits, which is the book that's coming out this year. I'm going to read something new. And it's a poem called Three Novenas, written this past July and August. And I just wrote, it does require a little bit of story ahead of time. So I wrote this poem following two events or two things. One is I fell and hit my head. And the second one is 2 days after that, I had occasion to meet the performance artist, Linda Mary Montano, who happened to be at a cafe near my house in the Hudson Valley, doing piano portraits. So I went and collaborated with her on a piano portrait. And she told me that I should, well, two things happened then. She picked a song for me, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and she picked a prayer for me, which is a Hail Mary, after I had a 2-minute conversation with her with what's been on my mind, which turned out to be death. So she advised me to immediately start praying to Saint Mary, preferably on my knees and in Italian if I could. So what I'm going to read for you is a condensed version of about a 25-page poem. And I do a lot with the Hail Mary in Italian. I don't speak Italian. I'm not going to do the Italian prayers in between the sections, but I am going to do a little riff on the Hail Mary in English. Okay. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, you know, I realize now not everyone was raised Catholic, something I once believed. A novena is 9 days. It's a prayer said for 9 days. So 3 novenas, 27 days. One more thing. I was doing some dabbling in bibliomancy while I was writing this. So there's a list of books at the end that I would pick up and just like take, you know, as we do, snippets of language. I took more than a snippet from Emily Dickinson. So when things get super beautiful and amazing, that's Emily Dickinson, not me. And then, yeah, so, I mean, if you want to know the bibliomancy, we can talk after. All right, I think that's it. Oops, it's gone. Okay, 3 novenas. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of our womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now until the hour of death. Amen. heating pad, cape, white towel, roll, 1/4 of the eye dropper. Not on my knees and in English, sleeping to the announcer's voice, then silence, provoked me with a terrific vision of my life completely isolated by age and chronic conditions, a film from which I emerged only by playing a word game, res, for 12 points, before hit with exhaustion, my body at a 100-degree angle. I played with my ascendants in a field, receiver of an inflated animal bladder. Can we describe sound as epic? Skyscraping. The thump when it made contact with my middle aqueduct is the injury. It is what it is. Pink Marion studio votive blown out, an early birthday wish. Embrace risk in Mexico. I flew over the border wall with St. Anselm and saw every living thing maladapting in dove time. Gentle pressure from the hands of the people. On my right side, Kimberly's jewel-toned dress at my fiddlehead. Floors stained plum, knees fizzle, pitched forward, the spirit level bubble out of the guidelines, flurry of white moths who stay outside and slow black flies feeding on moisture want the inside of my prayer. Hail Mary, full of grace. Do you have a pillow, maybe in the shape of a tooth? To make the crown fit, he ground down the healthy molar above it. He looked bereft in the parking lot as I drove away. Saint Apollonia, assist me as tissue that isn't living cannot heal itself. Baby turkey haunt followed their mom across 9G. Thank God it was me and not some psycho. Even in their panic, they moved in perfect synchronicity. What does it mean, loss of a way of life? Memorial cards for 2 Jims, Liddy and Carol, Irish, but not my grandmother's 2020 deaths. Do you work here? Can you tell me if you sell? Are you selling hot dogs today? No. Well, say hi to Donnie, that I may always be mistaken for someone who works here. The way one thing serves as other things in a village, Henderson's heating oil and gravestones, Lime Street hot dog mechanic. A fly steps into a certain slant of sunlight in my northwest corner, oppresses like the heft of cathedral tunes. Heavenly hurt it gives us. We can find no scar, but internal difference where the meanings are. And I'll go out for a drink with one of my demons tonight, out being saturated with risk. That part where it says it was against the rules for Mary to bring her lamb to school, and the teacher turns out the lamb, who was later executed as a state criminal. I know the freight train makes the house shake, and there's something mechanized in the basement. It's not in my head. I know it's absolutely horrible, this prayer to say poetry is, serializing my bends. Pink wax burns away, illuminating you from the neck up. Miami, built on limestone. Tucson, homeless, living in washes during monsoon season. Philadelphia, 100-year flood. Another piece of energy ignited that severe weather. Please, not now. Water, Apple, recline, track income to ensure I'm not disqualified. Blessed art thou among women, the life of CB with the death of Christian Boltanski has officially come to an end. I think that we're always telling the same story and that we end up making the same work, more or less. Reincarnated, but with memory, reincarnated at a party with a pony, reincarnated talking to a woman who referred to an old broette she used to know, told me to put on the red lipstick. Guadalupe, if you appeared to me to ask for a temple, I don't know what I'd do. Czestochowa, embellished in low relief. Copper, you bear the scars of saber slashes, my favorite miracle. Each time they are repaired, you remanifest them. I have to imagine Tindari along the Palermo-Messina highway. That I don't begrudge my dreams, they're poets. Fullness in the head, relax, dream, sleep, deja vu, behind the scenes kindness, when everyday life is a challenge, redefine life. When conditions alter, drastic, have we already perished? Talk myself out of things I think I need, anything I can't eat or read. Biblical drought has people eating ash and shoe leather in Madagascar. Linda was wearing a face mask imprinted with your likeness. There were 2 weeks when we stopped wearing masks. My body tries to tell me so much on a daily basis. Increased healing time, increased collapse time, plastic arts, duck bones on the stove, a fan, a rug. Pray for us. I didn't clock this as cognitively complex, but I keep forgetting where I go. Associatively, may that. You are the fern undulating with air, more integrated than birthday wishes, electronic deposits. Surrealism is people you used to know. If you drive by the library and pop your trunk, the librarian will put your books in it. Give me the be with me, please, praise, make me, thank, forgive, fuck. You get a little behind, nurse to body, grace and time to contend with, bailing on the hamster wheel, breaking out of the ball, crawling out from behind the stove with seared toes, never to be that idealized again, and they still said you were fat. Vulnerabilities introduce themselves to you in your 20s, allow you to control them, then top you in your 50s. The math. It takes 2 years to feel a decade. Like at 12, I knew life with breasts would be, and 22, I knew life without wealth. That tomorrow I won't have to go through this chronic self-telling. My head was impacted. There were witnesses. Mom won't drive up the Maine coast with friends. What if she has to shit or throw up? She could throw up right now just thinking about it. I bothered. I thank you. You can feel our limitations in the prosody when the prayer is all proem. New York on high alert, report stumbling birds with crusty eyes, bird feeder down, scare owl up. Convinced, to be honest, in a way only gestured toward with Linda. Now and at the hour of our death, I utterly believed many things disturbed I utterly believed. The pink dog from my babyhood played Mary Had a Little Lamb, but it played Rockabye Baby. Fabricated connection. I hugged the poet. You look great. He was naked and bald, much thinner. We might have all looked like this last night. Your people are naked. We don't remember the destroying storm in the hour of grace, the Grimm's tale, waking up in a temperate rainforest, chartreuse, moss, beards, dryness of age countered, harmony of the flora. Fear obliterates knowledge. All that's left is to keep ourselves outside ordinary time. The books in this room are still speaking. They said it was still raining. Impossible requests in mid-July. Indulge me, please undo. After a hard day of doing nothing, death to the death mongers. Bad infrastructure is a paved over earth, Just wait until the next moon wobble. For Inner Mongolia, province of Marlborough region, Alpine region, Caracas, Chad, Oman, the states of Arizona, Texas. Amen. Hail Mary, full of, we are the point of oscillations between the moon and the tides, a fine line between being banished and banishing myself from all human rooms, the hermit corpus made of two opposing triangles joining to create a star. Let us give up our trips. Your votive life whips out voyage. Upon the wall, you make lucky the person who hears luxury in the ringing of ears. There is a public for poetry, but not a world. The midwife had a halo of outgrown purple hair. These new and ephemeral sensations, like other onsets. Your body is changing every day. I have it on female authority. Let me show you. I'm from the South. When we see a snake, we kill it. Are you Christian? The garter snake in pieces in the fallow garden and a tale of local revenge, 18 snakes under a woman's bed. An odd job completed at dusk. He alluded to a past he got out from under Holy Spirit, a moment of silence instead of daring to relate, and for the snake. Smoky sun haze, shadows of leaves slithered against the foyer wall. Obtain, become untied. Empower candelabra, mother of thousands, AKA devil's backbone. Whisper to the old captain petitioning you. The answer to the riddle, to hide your weaknesses, physically projects them. Grace, the Lord is with thee. Is it wrong that I eat? It is wrong that I eat. Stomach turns to teeth, turns to stomach to give up, even as an experiment just beyond me. Now I say, beware of tomatoes. Fasten mirrored goggles and jump into the pool of consommé. Torrent of tears and late capitalism to the tune of Pac-Man dying. Ruinous effects start to show up. Let us now celebrate sanctioned language so poets get the message. When what you need starts to disappear in the zeitgeist, help me to understand loss as a way of life. Day ended watching heat lightning through Venetian blinds, where there is injury, pardon, petition for ancient water passed to the young, little frogs and clay clams. To not imagine a reader, but to literally impact space with style, to create a comfort zone. On the feast of Saints Anne and Joachim, I arranged animal figurines around the books. Never make a living aging, are just the age of all the aging, and will unage and live again. I received an envelope of gravel from East River Park and poured it through a hole in my hand like a lost way of life. The video zoomed outward from St. Mark's past the Iron Gate and Stone Lion, which struck me as a visual pulp of the approximately 3,200 times I left the church for the night, but also offering me, getting no freer from history, a feeling of highly formalized tranquility. I dedicate, obtain. Blessed is the fruit of our plastic changes in the peripersonal, revealed space as not unitary, unaware of the movements of neighboring hands until they were upon me, whereupon modulated dream life, living in a hostel, mattresses on the floor, novitiates learning to stroll in long indigo smocks like Gustav Klimt, where art is the god. Everything green needs to be trimmed back. The rose of Sharon touches the white car, its flowers stain it. But I think of this morning's forest bath and the fact that you can get voltage from a potato. The bobble owl head blew over there, I won't spend money on sand to weigh down the body, which is over there. When I'm staring out the window, she knows I'm thinking about the snake hash. When we're both at the window, it's because the police have been called on Maurice. People come barefoot into the street. On this last day of July, she plays a cathartic, happy birthday to us on the toy accordion. Footprints of no orthodox movements in this house, being held in realm by a drop of spruce resin under the tongue. Our Lady of Prompt Succor, permission to leave not France, but the circus, to have a modicum of tranquility in the wrong timeline, in an upside down world, never to regard with tranquility those who write for keepers of the loot, the honk, the lolly, the bones, the coin, the cabbage, the bread, the celery, the skrilla, the scratch, now until the hour of our death. For someone with so many questions, weeding is so time consuming. Is this all mint? Unearthed clues of earthworms, so many the earth moved as it has been for all of worm time without my knowing. Darwin was occupied by worms near the end of his life, organizers for an atheist. Why are you touching it? Because I am a child. Left casting on me. I'm trying to stay fresh and tough. I am scum. Wash your hands. We will descend, which is why worm scientists also have to work day jobs. On the cleared path, an unfamiliar orange cat makes herself comfortable, which I observe from the window. Womb, Jesus. And then the egg on my shoulder hatched, a hybrid parrot / red-winged blackbird that could throw her voice. We hid in the bathroom for better acoustics. She warned of fascist marauders. When they started shooting, everyone who heard the bird was on various fire escapes and survived. My anguish, a string of whys. Crumbs to the realm of impossible requests, a different set of sorrowful mysteries than what the grandmas prayed on this bend of the rosary. Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday. When the katydids kept me up, it behooved me to invest in bugs. This is what my gut told me, though I'm having doubts, the way I have survived, now being immaterial. That at the book party, there was no book, no poems, and no party. The incline to the venue, I had to trust there was a venue, was so steep, I was out of breath, but at least fully clothed. Guided as some of the plastic animal figures built into satire while others wait in Bill's ceramic bunny box. One must write good jokes and wear bird-like visors to get into Hades, to bring the best poet back to late capitalism. Land of never not. It's never not. Contingent. Main brain fell into a tub of water from leave, that their reputations erode them. Heads have dissolved into thin air. Most structures are or should be disbanding, and here we are, new in town. Ultraviolet light giving my skin the appearance of crepe. Something very strange is happening. I can see that row of rhododendrons and koi fish through the stomachs of the librarians. I ask if there is any chance of a future, to which one answered, I hate humans. Broke her web with my head, broke her threshold web with my head again, scurried with the wing of a fly, my errands, her web. All the scientists who lifted their hands to the camera to signal the coming of their tears, politics predating on their subjects, literal lost life. Kimberly noted the resemblance, sprouting an onion to sacred heart, growing in the kitchen in a cup of water squeezed from my eyes. Maybe you are like an animal, a worm, for instance. Either you have many sets of hearts or none, depending, counting you as one of us. My carnal self in chartreuse knee pads, eye to eye with the shepherd at the electric fence. How strange it is to realize I have a living mother who becomes more abstract as the Julian calendar marches on. I believe if I held this empty bean can to my ear, I would hear her voice. Amen.